How's it going, chimps? My name is Monkai, and today I'm going to be doing a video on the Olen VR Gunstock for the PlayStation VR 2. So I ordered this Gunstock and got it about a week ago, a little over a week ago, and I've been using it every single day since. And I will tell you right now that this Gunstock is awesome. And today's video I'm going to be talking about it, the pros, the cons, and the reasons why I think you should or I think you shouldn't get this Gunstock. So I will say first things first is that this is one of only two Gunstocks I have ever used. The only other Gunstock I have personally used is just some random one that I found on Amazon, and it was relatively cheap. It was honestly more expensive than I'd like to admit, and it did not work good at all. The biggest problem that Gunstock had is that the connection point for the controllers felt very, I would say, dangerous for the controller. It felt like it was gonna break the controller with where it was connected, and on top of that, the actual like butt or back end of the stock was very short. So when I went to aim with that stock, my controller was like right here, and my headset couldn't see where it was, so I'd have a lot of tracking issues. But today we're talking about the Olen VR Gunstock. This is from a company that I believe was started. I don't really know a whole lot about the company. I just know that one man makes these guns. For all I know, there's multiple people, but he 3D printed the parts, and the pipes are full metal, and it is very good and very quality material. So the actual plastic, these white bits, are 3D printed. And if you hear that, you'd think that it's fragile or it's not very strong. And I will say that the parts that he's 3D printed are very thick. They have a honeycomb, I believe, design on the internal to make them a little bit lighter. But when I received it, I was like, first thing I thought was, wow, these are some stout 3D prints. And one thing I will say about this is that I have dropped it once. I ordered it without the lanyard, but I have my own lanyard that I've been using. And I highly recommend that if you do not have a lanyard, that you order with the lanyard, because if you drop this thing, it might be really stout and very strong, but it is relatively heavy and it will fall and break itself. It comes with a muzzle, and when I was playing, getting used to it, I was using it and I dropped it straight on the muzzle and it snapped right off. So I highly recommend using a lanyard. It is definitely going to save this and make it last a lot longer, even though it is pretty durable. I wouldn't say it's the most durable thing in the world. It will break if you do not keep care of it. So highly recommend a lanyard. If you do not have one, buy one. This thing, because it's got the metal pipes that the magnets connect to, it's relatively heavy. It's not the lightest Gunstock in the world, I will admit that. And again, I haven't used a whole lot, but I already just know that there are lighter options out there. For me, it doesn't bother me, and actually I kind of like it because it makes it feel a little bit more immersive. It makes it feel more like you're actually holding a gun in VR. But that is one caveat about it. And another thing I will say, it was a pretty big deal for me, was the controllers and how the mounts connect to the controllers. So as you can see here, it connects kind of towards the front side of the controller. So here's where your finger is, the trigger, and your joystick. And then the PSVR controller is kind of weird. I remember people talking about how the shape is kind of wonky, and making a Gunstock mount is kind of weird for a controller like this. But they mounted it up on this front bar, and it is screwed in with 2 bolts. So that is another thing. Some people like being able to easily take these off and put them on. For me, it does add a little bit of weight to the controller itself, but I, again, don't really notice it after a certain amount of time playing. And with the Gunstock, it doesn't matter too much. Mounts there, goes up front, magnets right there, pipe, connection. It is super simple, super fun, and the magnet is pretty strong because, like I said, the gun's pretty heavy. This is one controller connected to it, and you can see if I'm holding it and don't leverage too much, if you leverage, it's going to come right off. But if you're stout, it'll hold on pretty well. And same with the left controller, exact same spot, mounts just like that. So next thing I want to get to is the bar. So other VR Gunstocks have specific mounts, like specific mounting points. Like another one I got from Amazon, it would just point, or it would mount to a single spot. It wouldn't go anywhere else. And I've seen other Gunstocks where you have to find the spot where it connects. Like the controller will connect to something that you have to find, and it's only that one spot. So let's say that the mount is right here. You have to find exactly where that mount is, or anywhere. You have to find exactly where it is to mount. This one, anywhere on this pole that you connect it to, works. So let's say I got the gun down here, and I'm going to grab my gun. One thing about it is that you'll get used to is trying to find where the gun is hanging below. That's something with every Gunstock you ever use. you're just gonna have to get used to finding where it is. Some will mount right to your controller, your right controller, and stay there, but still, you gotta find out where your other hand connects, and you gotta get used to that. So for this one, hangs down low, I grab it with that controller, boom, right there. You can see your hand in the game, you can see where it is, and you line it up. And then, you know, that's just something with gun stocks. I've noticed I'll be in a gunfight, and I'll go to grab it with my other hand, and it'll take me a minute to find it. And you know, in games, you gotta be quick, you gotta be fast. And that's just something with gun stocks. You're just gonna have to get used to where it is. So with this one, I really like it because there's this front pole. I can go as far out as I want. I can come right in and close. Like on Pavlov, I'll show you. You can have the P90 and you can have it really close. Or you could grab a rifle and you can be really far, and it feels really comfortable. And then same with this front stock, front controller. There's this little bit, this chapter, I guess you could call it, where you put your front controller, and then the second bit where you put your second controller. And if you really wanted to, I guess you could put it way out there and then have it something like this. Maybe, if you can figure it out. But I mean, this right here, perfect. So, when you receive it in the mail, you're going to have it taken apart. There's an QR code that'll tell you how to put it together. Super simple, super intuitive, very easy to do. So, yeah. Again, this is the Olen VR Gunstock for the PlayStation. So yeah, let me show you guys some gameplay and some games. I'm going to be playing Breachers, Pavlov, After the Fall, and I'll show you some games that this will work perfect with, and then some other things that this Gunstock has going for it. Okay, so here we are in the Pavlov shooting range, and I'm going to show you how it works and the only problem so far that I've ever had with this Gunstock. So first of all, one thing you're going to want to do when you get a Gunstock is you're going to want to go to the adjuster, and that's one big thing about VR gun stocks in general, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be something you deal with every gun stock, mainly because this isn't a gun stock specific problem, this is just a game specific problem. So obviously you adjust all your tilt, you adjust everything. I've gotten Pavlov figured out just perfectly for me, to where when I put the gun stock to my shoulder, it aligns the sights pretty well, and you have to adjust. And I guess you could mess around with every single weapon. I just edited them all the exact same. And you're going to have to adjust to some weapons. But with most weapons, I've got it figured out perfect. And one thing I really like with the Olen gun stock is that you're going to have the butt stock right here, but then they raise all this up right here. And they keep in mind the fact that you have a face mask on. You have like so many extra inches on your face. So a lot of gun stocks are just going to look like a normal gun, but they don't keep in mind the fact that you have like all this extra space and how much more you have to do. So this one fits and feels great. But again, let me get to one thing about this gun stock, and if you might be able to tell, it doesn't really do it with a gun like that. Let's go to the 50 cal. Does it with this one really bad. So if I hold it with my right hand right here, you can tell, oh man, maybe I can't. It can be relatively steady, you know. It's kind of just like my arm right now moving around. And I connect the front grip and grab it. Now watch this. See how much that's bouncing around up and down? And you see when I'm grabbing this, just bouncing around like that. That's not me moving. I let go and I hold it. I don't move nearly that much. I'm much more steady. That is because, for whatever reason, I don't have this problem with any other VR game that I've tested this gun stock. Pavlov just loses tracking of the front controller. Like I said, I've played Breachers and I've played After the Fall. There's still quite a few games that I haven't really tried that are shooters, but for whatever reason with Breachers, the front stock always loses control. And the other weird part about it that confuses me is that it doesn't happen with every gun. So let's grab the M4. I hold it up. Look at how much that's moving around. Sometimes it'll detect it and catch it. And it doesn't matter where I put this gun stock or this. If I move it closer, it's almost worse. See that? It's looking almost completely to the right. If I bring it forward, it's a little better. Oh, there it goes. See? Now, let's grab something like the P90. And then I'm going to hold it really close, like I would with a P90. Look at this. Completely still. Not a single issue. No tracking loss. Maybe it's because I'm higher up. If I move down, maybe. It's just like, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that I only have this problem with this game, let alone just different weapons in this game. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Even watch, if I hold it out here, totally fine. No bouncing, totally smooth. Feels like a gun stock should. So I think that's just a Pavlov specific problem, because I will show you here soon in Breachers. But I just one thing to keep in mind. If you like playing Pavlov, if that's your main game, you might want to keep in mind the fact that it's going to lose tracking, like you can see here. Bring it closer. Still having that problem. Drop the Gunstock. No tracking issues. That's just me shaking pretty bad, because I'm human. But yeah, that's one thing. Now here, I'm in Breachers, and I'm going to show you that Breachers doesn't have this problem at all. But I'm going to show you that Breachers has its own caveats. And again, it's just game specific. So if I connect the Gunstock, and get it all set up, you can see there isn't any movement really at all. Completely still, completely stable, totally good tracking. I'll even let go to the gun. Look at my hands. Perfect. No problems. Tracking is totally fine. Now, that doesn't mean that Breachers is perfect. So now I'm going to show you why Breachers isn't perfect, and I'm just in a training thing with one bot so I can show you guys. So the thing about Breachers, and the reason why I think it's game specific and why this problem is game specific, is because if you look at Breachers comfort settings compared to Pavlov, you have the vertical weapon angle, which when you adjust this, as you can tell, holding a gun with one hand at 4, I turn it all the way down, gun's pointing straight down. If I grab it with my other hand, it kind of does affect it because I've set it to such an insane degree. Let's say 4 is right here. Let's pull the Gunstock out. 4 is right here, or 8 is right here. And the problem I'm having is this angle too far up. Angle it down. It didn't really do that. It actually almost aimed it up further. So now let's go back the other way. And now it's a little better, but now the gun's all the way twisted. So, and then the other problem with that is you can't now, because I have to angle it down for the Gunstock, now I can't use a handgun. Now whenever I go to grab a handgun, it's pointed straight up at the roof. So if you want to set that up perfect with the Gunstock, you gotta pay the price with your handgun being trippy. So back to what I was saying. I've adjusted it. Feels pretty good right now. Feels actually really comfortable. But again, it comes with the downside that you now, every time I want to use a handgun, which is at the start of every game where you don't have a whole lot of money, you're gonna have to use a handgun weird. So there's that one thing. And the other thing that I want to mention is that I have to have it with a virtual Gunstock because, like I said, this is definitely game specific. If I have the Gunstock on, you can see my hands lined up straight there. Now if I grab the gun with my other hand, look at how off. Well, I'm gonna have to use this with my left eye. Just realized that I was showing you guys with the right eye. Breachers has a thing where you can't see my right eye, you view from my left eye, which is kind of stupid, so I'm gonna actually just do it left-handed here to show you guys. Okay, so as you can see, my hands are lined up in the Gunstock. Don't even have it in my other hand. Lined up, grab the gun, looks okay. And now that I grab that, look at how offset they are. Like, the front hand in Breachers is not lined up straight. And it's, as you saw earlier with Pavlov, it's totally different. And I have no idea why they have this or why it's like this. I'm wondering if it's because when you're playing without a Gunstock, it'll make it so that your hand is offset so that your headset can see both controllers, and you'll never have a chance or a situation where your front controller, like let's say if you're trying to hold the gun really close, you'll never have a situation where your front controller will lose tracking, even though, as you can see, I got my controller like right in my face, and it doesn't usually block or have problems with tracking. For whatever reason, Breachers has it where your left hand, if I line them up straight, they're just not off. The left hand is offset a little to make it so that when you're playing without a Gunstock, you have your controllers set up offset, and in game it's normal. So that's the thing with Breachers. You have to keep the problem that the solution to this problem I've found is turning the virtual stock on. I have the offset all the way up to 50, and your offset is going to change your weapons left and right. So if I have it at 150, it's all the way to the right. If I bring it all the way down, it's going to bring it in to the left a little bit. And again, you guys are seeing through my left eye, so let me adjust my left eye to what you guys are seeing. It's just weird. That's the thing about Breachers. And the other thing is, as you can see, there's no up and down scaling. There's the angle, but that's not gun specific. I wish they could make it gun specific, because with this gun, I would totally have the vertical angle right there, because that feels perfect. perfect. Like, this gun is exactly how I want it to be. And again, in the end, can I play breachers with a gunstock, and do I prefer playing with a gunstock? Absolutely, because then I can do it like this. Could run around, feels comfortable. But because it is not a weapon specific angle change, let's grab something like the Viper here. Now that I have that, this weapon, I gotta bring my head down just a little bit. So it's not too bad, and it's doable, and it's manageable, but I would prefer if it was up higher, so I could change the up and down. Can change the angle, can change the left and right, just can't change the up and down. One thing that I would change about breachers. But again, it works just fine for me. But that's something, if you want to keep that in mind and think about that, then that's it's up to you. So let's go check out After the Fall. Here we are in After the Fall, and one thing about After the Fall that I've found is I don't think there's any settings to mess with, like, your weapon and, like, where it is, up and down, left, right, all that kind of stuff. So this one's kind of just, like, up to luck if your gunstock will work with it. And I found that the Olen VR gunstock works perfect with it, like, literally perfect. Like, I'm setting this up exactly how I feel comfortable, and the weapon is right there. The sight's right there. Everything feels totally comfortable and just work good for me. Now, technically this could be different for you because everyone's body isn't the same, and your body's not going to be the same as mine, so where you feel comfortable putting the gunstock isn't going to be the exact same spot that I feel comfortable putting it. But, I mean, I guess if it means anything, it feels good for me. And this one doesn't have any problems with weapon tracking, or controller tracking. As you can see, I can hold the Tommy gun right here, and there's relatively no motion other than me. There's no motion loss. So when it comes to After the Fall, it works good, and I would like to test more games and show people more games to make sure that if you want to get this and you want to know if it works for your game, then, you know, I'd like to be able to help you and let you know what works and what doesn't. But so now I'm going to show you guys some Pavlov gameplay. So yeah, I'm basically just going to show you guys some quick gameplay, nothing crazy. One thing with any gunstock that you're going to have to get used to is just the reloading. And after playing for a little while, I can tell you right now that it doesn't really add a whole lot of extra time from just normal. It will add a little bit of extra time, but you're really quickly going to be able to get back to the point where you were before you had a gunstock, where it doesn't do much of anything. Yeah, so, oh shoot. Woo! As you can see, like with this gun, again, one thing I was saying about breachers is, I don't know, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but this gun, just super bouncy. For the front controller constantly loses tracking. And then I'll go grab something like this, and I'm not gonna have a single problem. So, it's just something to keep in mind. So yeah, I haven't... Oh, look at that. Yeah, see, it's really bad. I haven't been paid to say anything. I bought this gunstock on my own money. This review is all the way I feel about it. So yeah, I'm not here to try to sell this to you or tell you that you have to buy it. I'm just here to tell you that I think that it's a really good option. Oh, man, this map sucks. So yeah, I'm just here to tell you that I think that it's a really good option. I really enjoy it, and I've really enjoyed it while I've had it. But I'm also here to say that it is not perfect. As you can very clearly see, it can be very hard to snipe with certain weapons in certain games. You can tell that this is just like basically unusable. Yeah. So if you're somebody that likes Pavlov, honestly, I'm going to be completely straight with you. I don't think that you should get this gunstock because of the problems I'm having right now. Hello. Pavlov. But yeah, see, like, I can't even hold this. It's almost like I'm dealing with sway in VR. There we go. And sometimes it'll act up and sometimes it'll calm down. So like I said, make your own judgment. So if you guys know me, then you'll know that a lot of what I play, and probably my favorite VR game right now, is Breachers. Okay, so if you know me, then you'll know that Breachers is a lot of what I play. And like I said, look at this. This just feels perfect. Plays perfect. And has zero problems. with tracking. The only problem when I'm not using one controller or two controllers, gotta deal with that weird angle, which when I'm using a handgun, it's worth it for me. I'll deal with it, but you know, it's something to keep in mind if you're looking into this and you don't want to deal with that, then I totally understand. Where is he? See, like, I will say, using a Gunstock in VR makes it feel so good. Like, playing Breachers, I will say another thing when it comes to accuracy and aim for a game that it works right with, absolutely has improved for me and felt better for me. So for something like Breachers, it 100% helps with aim. And then honestly, the biggest reason why I went to get a Gunstock is because of the immersion. Got him. It's for the immersion. It just feels so much more satisfying when you're playing VR to have a gun physically in your hands, or feel like you have a gun physically in your hands. It just feels so good. Especially to, like, I don't know, and that's the other thing about this one. It's a little bit hefty, a little bit heavier, so when I am holding the gun, it feels like I'm actually holding the gun. And then I got the virtual stock on, so it's not going to move freely. But I don't know, it just, there's something about it. And oh, you guys are over here. Maybe it's because I've just been a sucker for VR lately. But gosh, it's just something about playing video games this way. It's just so much better than flat screen games. I want every game that I have flat screen to be a VR game so badly. Now, because of the caveat with video games, the different games working differently, I am a little bit worried for games like coming out soon, because I want to be able to play everything with this Gunstock. I want to be able to do everything with this. And it's just the unfortunate fact about Gunstocks. I feel like with any Gunstock you get, and you're gonna have those issues. Like, no matter what Gunstock you have, it's just gonna be that way. Whether or not you get this one, a different one, not every single game's stock adjustments are going to work with every single Gunstock, if that makes sense. That is the Olen VR Gunstock. Yeah, I hope I was able to give you guys some insight. I didn't want to tell you that this is the best Gunstock in the world, because I do not personally think that it is. I don't think this is the only option that you should ever look at. I think that when you're looking at Gunstocks, if you have an idea, thank you for watching my video, by the way, and looking into this one, I think you definitely should. It is a great option, but it is not perfect. So when you are looking for a Gunstock, do some research, look up different options, look up a lot of options, look up videos on them. If you came across mine, thank you again so much for watching. I hope I was able to give you some insight or an idea of what you think is a good idea, or a good Gunstock, or a good purchase. I am happy with the purchase. I think that I'm going to be using this one and this one only for a long time. I don't have any intentions to get a new one other than the one that I mentioned earlier. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I'll put it up right here. It looks pretty good. It looks like it has some potential, but I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon. I'll be using this one for a while, and maybe I will do a couple month update video on this Gunstock. So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.